right, so it looks like we're live.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is David Matthews, and I have been asked to chair the meeting today. Mr. Hill is down in New Brunswick, I believe. So this morning, there will be a public meeting scheduled for one minor variance application. I will briefly summarize the procedure to be utilized for the morning meeting. Firstly, the Secretary Treasurer will advise the committee as to when, how, and to whom notice of each of the hearings was circulated for the applications being considered. Next, each of the applications will be considered separately. Planning staff will advise the purpose and the effect of the applications and provide any other information that is relevant. The Secretary Treasurer will summarize any correspondence on file. From there, the applicant will make a brief presentation if they so choose, and the public will have the opportunity to speak to the application being considered. After the public forum, the committee will then deliberate on the purpose of the application, on the proposed application, and consider a motion to pass, defeat, or defer the decision of the applications. This morning, there is one minor variance, A21-30 for 295 Pratt Road. I'll ask if there's any pecuniary interest today. Seeing a lot of shaking heads, we'll continue. We'll adopt the agenda for today. Sorry.
Member Matthews, we just have to start with the minutes. We'll adopt the minutes first.
You're correct. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustments approves the minutes. I'm sorry, let me back up. Moved by Member Demkew, seconded by Member Cato. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustments approves the minutes of the May 23rd, 2022 as circulated. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All right. Secondly, moved by Member Ferguson, seconded by Stephen Jarvis, be resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment adopt the agenda for June 10, 2022. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Carried. Thank you. Over to you, Marcia.
Notice of each of the applications was sent by first-class mail to the respective owners and assessed persons within 120 meters, 500 meters, or 800 meters, and to those persons and agencies who like to have an interest in the application. The notices were sent at least 20 days prior to this morning's meeting. Included in each notice was an explanation of the purpose and effect of the application and a key map showing the location of the property. Other relevant information may also be provided. These circulations were provided in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act, 1990.
Great, thank you. Okay, over to the planner. Joshua, it's your.
Thank you. I will share my screen, so just give me 1 second. And can I get a thumbs up that you can see the screen? Perfect. Good morning, committee members. My name is Joshua Lacaria, planner with the Township of Georgian Bay, and I'm here to present A21-30. It's a minor variance application. The applicant is John Ovens. The address is 295 Pratts Road, located in 6 Mile Lake Inland Waterfront Community. The purpose of the application is to permit a detached garage with sleeping cabin above. The minor variances are to permit a total garage height of 5.5 meters, where 5 meters is permitted, and to permit a total lot coverage of 12.4%, where 8% is permitted. The subject lands contain the principal dwelling with decks, a gazebo, a boat port, a shore deck, a shed, and 2 framed cabins. It appears one of the framed cabins is currently being used as storage. The detached garage with sleeping cabin above will be situated where the propane tank is currently located on the property, and I will show you that through imaging later on today. The applicant will convert the use of the 2 existing framed cabins to storage shed use. There will be no structural changes, size, height, volume, area, to the 2 existing framed cabins. The applicant will remove the existing shed located on the southern end of the property. So the 2 minor variances for today, section 4.1.15C, detached garages. The max height that's permitted is 5 meters. The applicant is proposing a max height for a detached garage with sleeping cabin above of 5.5 meters, which is a difference of 0.5 meters. In addition, there is also a second variance for the maximum lot coverage. So the permitted lot coverage is 8%. Currently on the property, the lot coverage is around 11%. They are proposing 12.4%, and in this meeting, we will formalize and recognize that the lot coverage is exceeding. So the difference from permitted is 4.4%. Here's a location map of the subject property. So you can see here, it is located in the 6 Mile Lake inland waterfront community. It has water access to 6 Mile Lake and also road access via Pratts Road off of White Falls Road. Around the property, we'll go to the one of the next slides, but you'll see there is shoreline residential properties here and also crown land to the south and to the east of the property. I will show you a site plan that was submitted by the applicant. So it is just a general breakdown, and I'll transition to the PDF document so we can take a closer look at it. But this site plan shows where all the existing structures are, dwelling, gazebo, decks. These are the 2 framed cabins that are existing, and also an existing shed to be removed. There's a boat port located here with a shore deck system, and the proposed detached garage, a sleeping cabin above, will be situated roughly in this location here. So I will switch to a more detailed or site plan that I can zoom in on. So I requested the applicant to modify the site plan to show what will be what is being proposed. So these 2 sleeping cabins are currently existing, will be converted to a storage shed, and that is one of the
Josh, I'm
conditions.
sorry. I'm not, it's David here. I'm not seeing anything about except a blank screen. Anybody else?
Fine.
I can see everything.
Yep,
Okay.
me too.
I can see everything.
All good for me.
David, put your glasses on.
If I had a pair, I would. Okay, carry on, Josh. Sorry to interrupt.
Not a problem. So as I was saying, these 2 existing sleeping cabins are being proposed to convert to a storage shed. The frame shed at the southern part of the property is proposed to be converted to be removed. My apologies. And also you'll see here with the environmental impact study that was submitted on behalf of the applicant, there's an unevaluated wetland located in this area here. And then I'll just move over to the lot coverage breakdown, showing all the existing and proposed structures on the property, and the lot coverage proposed is 12.4%. I'll also go and show the attachments. So this was the site plan that was submitted by the environmental consultant on behalf of the applicant. So once again, it shows where the unevaluated wetland here. Alongside the shoreline is fish habitat type 2, so non-class sensitive. And here are some site photos. So this is where the proposed detached garage or sleeping cabin above will be roughly located. So it would obviously involve the removal of the propane tank and the relocation. And this is the general view from the shoreline. So I situated the township municipal vehicle in the general location of where the detached garage or sleeping cabin above would be located, just to provide that point of view. And also similarly here, you'll see moderate vegetation, but also located around here is where the detached garage or sleeping cabin above is being proposed. And this photo shows the existing dwelling with gazebo and decks. And the last photo I want to show is the zoning of the property. So the subject lands are zoned SR6, shoreline 6 Mile Lake residential. And to the east and south is all crown land over here. And there's also fish habitat type 1 and PSW nearby, not directly adjacent, but within 120 meters of the subject property. So I will go back to the PowerPoint. So Development Service Report 2022-43, staff are recommending approval of the application subject to the recommended conditions. The height increase to the proposed detached garage with sleeping cabin above will remain incidental and subordinate to the principal building being the dwelling. The applicant is proposing to formally change the use of the 2 existing framed cabins to storage without changing the size, shape, height, or location of these existing accessory buildings. This will resolve the issue of non-compliance regarding sleeping cabins within the front yard setback and will reduce the number of sleeping cabins to 1. The lot currently has a lot coverage of approximately 11%. Please note this current lot coverage calculation does not include the existing frame shed to be removed. So the existing lot coverage will be greater than 11%. The proposed detached garage sleeping cabin above will increase the lot coverage to 12.4%, which includes the proposed removal of the existing shed. The applicant is proposing to offset the increase in lot coverage from the proposed detached garage with sleeping cabin above by removing the existing storage shed located near the shoreline and the unevaluated wetland. The review of the Provincial Policy Statement 2020, District Official Plan, Township Official Plan, and the Township Zoning Bylaw, planning staff are of the opinion that the subject application conforms to and does not conflict with any of the applicable planning policy documents and meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act. So provided are the recommended conditions, so be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment approves minor variance application A21-32 zoning bylaw 2014-75 for 295 Pratts Road. The purpose to permit an increase in the maximum permitted height for a detached garage with sleeping cabin above of 5.5 meters where 5 meters is permitted, and to permit a total lot coverage of 12.4% where 8% is permitted. Subject to the following conditions: that municipal taxes be paid to date, and that approval of the variance is granted and fixed to the subject site plan, extent, location, scale, and use contemplated in the application, and that a site plan control approval application be submitted and approved, and that a site plan agreement be executed detailing the proposed development, the preservation of vegetation protection areas within the rear yard in the manner prescribed by the applicable policies of the Township of Georgian Bay Official Plan as they relate to the administration of site plan control, and the implementation of the recommendations provided by Riverstone Environmental Solutions, Inc. in their scoped environmental impact study dated April 22nd, 2022, and the implementation of the recommendations provided by Hutchinson Environmental Sciences Ltd. In their peer review comments dated May 16th, 2022, and that a construction mitigation sediment control plan be prepared by a certified inspector of erosion and sediment control and be incorporated to the site plan control agreement to address the comments of the township's environmental consultant, and that the applicant converts the 2 existing framed cabins to storage shed use, which may require a building permit, and that the applicant removes the existing framed shed that is located in the southern area of the subject property, which may require a building permit, and that all fees and disbursements, legal engineering, planning, if any, incurred by the township with respect to this application be paid for by the owner, and that the approval of these minor variances expires 3 years from the date of decision of building permits that have not been issued for the approved structure. That concludes my presentation today. If you have any questions, I'm happy to provide comments and explanation. Thank you.
Thank you, Joshua. Madam Secretary, has there been any written correspondence on this application?
8 letters of support were received from Brian Price, Jill and Dave Kiss, Nori and Andrew Siriopoulos, Pat Mitchell, Paul and Rosanna Palma, Robert Johnson, Terry Parody, and Pat Vandenbosport. 1 letter of no objection was received from Robert Smith.
Thank you. Is the applicant on the line and wish to add anything to the comments of the planner?
Hey, good morning. Thank you. I don't really have anything
Sorry.
to add.
Could you just introduce yourself for the records, Mr. Ovens?
I'm sorry. Sorry, my name is John Ovens. My cottage is at 295 Pratts Road, and our plan is actually to retire here in 2 years. Maybe I'll just spend 2 seconds telling us how we got here. We bought the cottage probably 8 years ago. The cottage itself was in great shape, but the stuff around it wasn't. We set out back then to update the decking, update the boat port and deck around the boat port, and then to build a garage. We plan to retire here in 2 years, and we just have no space in the cottage at all. Currently, one of the 2 sheds that will remain is a bunkie for my kids to live in, and we hope to replace that with storage and let them move in above the garage. This will be the last thing we get approvals for here. It was always the last stage thing we wanted to build out as part of our retirement plan. And I think it will actually
Good.
improve
I'm on-
the
listen, I'm
area
on a Zoom
by
call right
removing
now.
the
Can
shed.
you give me a call back in about 15 minutes?
By removing the shed by the water, I think it actually improves the view from the water. You can't see the garage from the water at all, and you can't really see the garage from the roadside either. So I think it doesn't impact the environment after the environmental consultant finished. It doesn't impact any views from the lake or the road, and it will allow us to retire here and have some space for my family. Converting the 2 storage sheds right now, actually only one is for sleeping. The other is basically for water stuff at the lake. It won't take any building permits or anything. We're just going to move the 2 bunk beds that are in the sleeping cabin now to the garage when that's completed, and we'll just store all of our stuff that's currently in the waterfront shed in that room. And I'm open to any questions. The 11% now versus the 8 that's allowed, when we did get our boat port permitted, but when we did that calculation, that was never, we never got a variance from it. So I guess that's why we're above the 8% now, just including that area. Everything we've done to date has been permitted, and I think fits in well with the area. I'm open to any questions. I just wanted to, I didn't realize it was Joshua's last day either, Joshua. So it's finally good to see you in person. I really hope life goes well for you, and you and your staff have been fantastic throughout this long journey for sure.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Is there any members of the public that would like to make a comment? Please indicate so.
The only other thing I wanted to mention in my list here, just looking over quickly, both my direct neighbors are absolutely fine with it, and the 3 other people that live on the street are absolutely fine with it. They said the location is great because it just doesn't impact anything, and they actually welcome the removal of the shed that's by the water because it makes it look better down by the water. Sorry, I'll be quiet now.
Oh, that's okay, Mr. Evans. Madam
There are
Secretary,
no
I'm not
members
seeing.
of the public present today.
All right, thank you. Are there any members, sorry. Does any members of the committee have any questions? I'll start with Mr. Jarvis.
As usual, I'm not going to be quiet. A couple of questions. One, I noticed that all the letters of support that came in, I think all of them indicated that the support was for a storage shed above a garage, not for a sleeping cabin. I don't know if this throws a wrench into anything, but should these people be aware that they are going to be seeing a sleeping quarters as opposed to storage? I don't think it matters what it is, but I think it's a matter of just proper correspondence that the neighbors should be aware. Josh, I'll leave this one to you.
Thank you. I can provide some context on that. So Mr. Evans and I have gone back and forth over the past several months. I informed him that there is current non-compliance issues on the property which relate to the sleeping cabins, because based on the lot area of the subject property, the sleeping cabins, you only permitted 1 sleeping cabin on the property. So I made some recommendations, and Mr. Evans was open to it at the time, to consolidate the sleeping cabin above the detached garage. There were also other concerns because our zoning bylaw indirectly and directly speaks to not permitting the second story of a detached garage for anything other than a sleeping area or a sleeping cabin. So I made these recommendations to Mr. Evans to bring his proposal into better compliance with the zoning bylaw and the official plan of the township. And Mr. Evans was open to adjusting his proposal and allowing for that.
Right, and I don't think there's any issue with that aspect of it. It's just that all the neighbors, anybody that was notified seems to have been notified that it was going to be storage, and people take a different look at storage versus occupation. And so I'm wondering if there should be some clarification with all the neighbors to let them know that or maybe Mr. Ovens can tell us, do the neighbors know what they're getting here is not storage, it's a sleeping quarters?
Yeah, I've spoken to the direct neighbors here for sure. And the issue around the email support was that was done in October when I first put in the application. And
Right.
as Joshua mentioned, we've changed it recently so that it better suited what the township needed. And they just haven't resubmitted. I talk to these people all the time. They know exactly what's going on. There was no actual change to the plan. It was just, instead of being storage, it's now going to be where I put 3 bunk beds. So if
And a bathroom,
the
and a
council
bathroom, right?
wants, and a bathroom, and if the council wants, I can gladly send out emails to the 8 people and tell them of the difference. And if anyone has any difference of opinion, to contact you. But I've spoken to the 4 people on my street. We get together all the time. They're well aware of what's going on.
I think we should be noting in our decision, Mr. Chair, that it was acknowledged by the owner that the neighbors are aware that this is a sleeping quarters as opposed to storage. Josh? Sorry.
I do want to also add that, and Marcia, the planning technician, can correct me if I'm wrong, but the posting notice that we sent out and also the circulation notice indicate that it was for a detached garage, a sleeping cabin above.
Oh, okay.
So they had that knowledge at that time when they received those notices.
Okay, appreciate that. Another question for you, Josh. In the survey that showed all the different items, and there's an indication that a pie-shaped portion of the property that we're looking at is in fact Crown land. Is that correct? That's what it says on the diagram I'm looking at.
And my apologies, which diagram are you looking at? So I can...
Good question. It's the Mino Van Harten land survey diagram that shows the existing shed being removed, the proposed garage, detached garage with square footage. It shows everything, actually.
Mhm. Yes.
But part of it is this indication of part of the land being Crown land.
So I'm looking at it right now, and I'll share my screen. So are you referring to this area over here?
Nope, to up from there, the wedge that, see the dotted line that goes at an angle from the
Yes.
back corner of the lot down to the other side of the boathouse.
Yes.
In the diagram I'm looking at, that shows it's Crown land. It's typed right in there. Crown land, plan CL 17506 part 1.
Okay. So
I can help you with that, Stephen.
Great, thank you, John.
Probably 6 years ago, as part of the purchase of this house, that land there was Crown. I don't know, 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, I got ownership of that land. So if you look at the Rudy Mack survey that was more recently done, it has that as not as Crown land.
Got it. Okay, so
And
this is an older
I
survey?
bought,
Yes, you're right.
that's an
dated-
older survey.
Yeah, 2015.
I bought this as part of, I couldn't buy the property actually as is because it had a boat port and it had that storage shed and it was over my septic tank. And as part of the closing, it was contingent on me being able to buy that from the township and being able to buy the land rights. I did that, and now on the recent Rudy Mack one, it shows that that's part of my property.
Right, I see the date 2015. Thank you, John, for the clarification. One last question then is, since the proposed sleeping quarters will include a bathroom, I presume that's all been taken into consideration for the size of the septic system?
Yes. When we redid all the septic tank 5 years ago, and it was allowed for an extra bathroom.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Jarvis. Member Ferguson, any comments or questions?
Just a question. I'm wondering how we got from 8% to 11% lot coverage without any minor variance acts. If these were all applied for properly, was it just an oversight on someone's part, or why wasn't this caught before we're being asked to go to 12.4? Joshua.
So in my review of this, of the subject property and also the proposed development, I did do a background history of the subject property, and I do believe that there was formerly a boat port located in that area. So I presume, and it was replaced and positioned in that way through potentially section 411. And obviously, I'm not going to comment on the previous planner who reviewed the building permit application at the time, but I do recognize that in my report that it is above the permitted lot coverage as it currently sits in existing, but they do have a approval from the planning department for that boat port as it currently sits.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Joshua is exactly right. What happened was we rebuilt the exact same size. Everything was fine. And that's why, if you can see on those original emails of support, it also says 10% because we assumed we were going from the 8% to the 10%. I was unaware that the boat port area counted until, I don't know, 2 months ago when Joshua told me. And that's the difference where we are today.
Good. Thanks, Mr. Evans. Anything else, Member Ferguson?
No, I think that I did complete a site inspection in the rain, and I certainly like where the garage is going to be situated. It really doesn't have a major bearing because it's crown land behind his property, and it will not be highly visible from the water. That's it.
Wonderful. Good. Member Kuchar, any questions?
I think the prior members have covered it quite well. So I have no additional questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Caddo. You're muted. There you go.
Yeah, no problems here. The only question I had was answered about the septic. Just wondering about the capacity was large enough, but I am in support of this.
Wonderful.
I have
And
one quick-
Member Demke, we'll get to member, and then we'll come back to you, Mr. Ferguson. Member
Thanks, David.
Demke.
Yes, I pretty well, any questions I had were answered. I assume quite a few trees, not big ones, are going to have to be removed to get that garage in there once the tank is removed. But from a standpoint, as I guess as Member Ferguson said, it's not going to be viewed negatively. So I really don't have any questions. I think you answered what the removal of the shed and the removal of the sleeping cabins as sleeping cabins have kind of answered my questions. So I'm okay with this.
Good, thank you. Member Ferguson, you had another additional.
Just a quick question. I know that in the planner's report, the building department did indicate that there were some hydro lines that run through the back of the property, which I saw, and I assume we're going to be able to maintain the proper setbacks from those hydro lines.
Joshua, could you answer that?
Thank you. So yes, we did receive comments from the building department regarding the hydro lines.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure what the setback requirement is within the building code, but what I can say is that through my review of the environmental impact study provided by Riverstone and the peer review comments provided by the environmental consultants for the township, it appears that there will be enough room to provide that setback requirement from that hydro line, but also respect the, I believe it was a bedrock ridge that is maybe 10 meters behind to the north of the proposed detached garage, sleeping cabin above. So there is that wiggle room in that area, and that's going to come at the site plan agreement stage and the site plan control stage to address that as well.
Thank you, Joshua.
Member Jarvis.
Just a quick question, and the owner, I think, can answer this. In one of the photographs, we see 4 trees with looks like white tape on them. It looks like they're behind the cottage. I presume those trees are taped for
Gypsy moth.
gypsy moth, yeah, as opposed to as
It's
being marked
crazy. I'm
down.
hoping and praying that it doesn't happen like last year. And I think the tape's probably a complete waste of time, but it makes me sleep a little better at night. So
It looks
that's
nice.
why it's there. It's
Thank you.
no, there's nothing. And to answer the previous question about the wires and the location, it's actually, I'm very lucky. Like it's useless land that isn't being used for anything right now because it's between the end of the driveway and the next road, and the garage fits perfectly in there, and none of the big trees of any substance need to come down. They're just some small little ones.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I felt that too.
Okay, any further questions from any member of the committee? Seeing none, I'll read the resolution. Be it moved by Member Kuchar, seconded by Member Demke, Be it resolved, the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance A 21-30 to zoning bylaw 2014-75 for 295 Pratts Road to permit an increase in the maximum permitted height of a detached garage with a sleeping cabin above of 5.5 meters, where 5 meters is permitted, and to permit the total lot coverage of 12.4%, where 8% is permitted. Subject to the following: that the municipal taxes be paid to date, and that the approval of the variance is granted and fixed to the subject site plan, extent, location, scale, and use contemplated in the application. And that the site plan control approval application be submitted and approved, and that a site plan agreement be executed detailing the proposed development, the preservation of vegetation protection area. Sorry, that's all into one great big long sentence. Within the rear yard of the manner prescribed by the applicant, by the applicable policies of the Township of Georgian Bay official plan, as they relate to the administration of site plan control and the implementation of the recommendation provided by Riverstone Environmental Solutions, Inc. in their scope environmental impact study, brackets EIS, dated April 22, 2022, and the implementation of the recommendations provided by Hutchison Environmental Science Limited in the peer review comment dated May 16th, 2022. And that a construction mitigation sediment control plan be prepared by a certified inspector of erosion and sediment control and be incorporated in the site plan agreement to address the comments of the township's environmental consultant. And that the applicant convert the 2 existing frame cabins to storage/shed use and will be which may require a building permit. And that the applicant remove the existing framed shed that is located in the southern area of the subject property, which may require a building permit. And that all fees and distribution, brackets legal, engineering, planning, if any, incurred by the township with respect to this application be paid by the owner, and that the approval of these minor variances expire 3 years from the date of decision of the building permits have not been issued to the approved structure. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you for bearing with me through that.
I was going to have you read it again just for fun, but
I'll send you that one line. Mr. Ovens, I believe there's a 30-day waiting period. Joshua can fill you in on that, and otherwise you are approved.
Hey, thanks, guys. And it is too bad you're losing Joshua. They've really done a top-notch job. So thanks to all of you. I think that's a reasonable outcome, and I appreciate all of your time that you gave me today.
Thank you, Mr. Evans.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, on to the final. Moved by Member Jarvis, seconded by Member Ferguson. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment does now adjourn at 10:33 a.m. until July 15th, 2022 at 10 a.m. or at the call of the chair. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you very much. That